Okay, let's get back out to Quintin Pastrana. He's still at the SMC Summit over at Greensun in Makati, and he is with Dado Banatao. Quintin?
Sean and Tony, thanks for having us. Basically, we have here the most successful Philippine-American entrepreneur, especially with his transition from an entrepreneur into a venture capitalist, and now growing the seedbed for fellow entrepreneurs in the Philippines. Dado Banatao from Tallwood Capital, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
Now, Dado, I want to ask you about constraints to growth for entrepreneurs in the country. How do we overcome that, and what do you see from your experience in raising all this capital and this innovation to help them with this issue?
Yeah, I think the first thing that is constraining them is this cultural issue of risk-taking. We need more risk takers. Now, that's easy to say, but from where they come from, given all the parameters that they really don't know yet, it's kind of scary, but it's like our set formula, so they just need to jump in, experience it, and then get out. So that's the number one constraint that I see. The other thing is, the other leg, which is funding. That practice of venture funding is really not yet totally set here. And some of the organizations that I see here come from corporate investing, and it is not healthy because of the way they manipulate the kinds of strategies of the company that benefits them.
You're talking about pressure for early exits and not enough to grow the business first and all that.
And that is the result, or the company just basically dies. And so I think that when companies invest or they have an investment arm, they should be hands-off, like the venture capitalist, meaning we don't have a long-term strategy on a product. It's more of we have a long-term strategy in building a company. And sometimes, from a corporate point of view, and this is not surprising, they do change the strategies. When they change strategy, that startup may not be interesting to them anymore, and then they leave.
And at the expense of the growth strategy of this company.
Yeah, exactly. And also at the expense of venture capital, the other investors, because they are left there holding the bag, as they say. And so that practice of, and I've seen this many times, even in Silicon Valley, where the company's strategy changed, they just go, not good. So we need to come up with a healthy ecosystem, including the venture side.
Now, Dado, I've been so into following your career and the way you pay forward. APEC has been here the last 20 years, but you've actually been focusing on PhilDev, concrete initiatives in terms of bringing what you've learned with fellow entrepreneurs back to the Philippines. For example, you have the Philippine-California Advanced Research Initiative,
yes.
You have science and technology, engineering and mathematics scholars.
Right.
Tell us how far along are those programs in terms of growing that entrepreneurial class in the Philippines?
Right. The engineering research and development for technology, those are all the initial scholars that was funded from money coming from the government, administered by one of the departments. So PhilDev collected a group and went to the president and convinced her at that time to fund it, and she did. And so the role we play is sort of like an igniter or a coming up with the initial idea and then convince, in this case, the government, because rightfully they should spend the money because it's about teaching and it's not about industry yet. Anyway, PICARI is the next step after all of these PhDs and masters come back or finish their degrees. They need to continue the research. So that program was designed for the university system to begin to know how to do research. It's amazing before that there was no real research going on. And your PhDs will just basically become bachelors of science within 3 years if they don't do research. And so that's the purpose of that. And also we create more PhDs in the process in the PICARI program.
Yeah, so to further the knowledge base and put some continuity in terms of the research.
absolutely. So that, and then the next thing would be true R&D, and we did that for the Department of Education. You know, the Department of Education, of course, rightfully gives computers to kids in elementary and high schools. I thought that is not sustainable, so I came up with an architecture for them, and we proceeded to design it using as many Filipino engineers, with some help from Silicon Valley. But this thing is well connected. Each school have 2 servers, cable it, gigabit Ethernet to class.
This is the Cloud Top program, is it?
The Cloud Top
Yes.
program. And it's working. We have long-distance Wi-Fi. We designed that for long distance, 5 to 20 megabit. And then solar power in communities.
So you have the most rural communities being connected to these servers.
Yeah, we will connect them and so on. Yeah.
Well, one more last question. You come from an engineering background, but engineering, the roots of that is a love for science and mathematics, and hence your focus on STEM education. The question I have is, will you be able to create that innovation hub, as just as Sharon was talking about Asia Society, within those 20 years without an investment in this kind of education? And how will you go about that?
Yeah, I would not come up with an innovation hub without the population of capable engineers, because if there is no innovation, then there's no need for that hub.
Exactly.
And that's the formula. We waited and waited until we started this program idea with USAID in teaching the entrepreneurs, senior level engineering students, and some professors on what are the success factors for startups. And this is very detailed teaching that we gathered, my experience and others from Silicon Valley, in building these very successful companies. And we wrote down, and we have a book.
So you've distilled a manual for growth and success, ironing out all the kinks and ready for other entrepreneurs to follow.
Yeah, I don't know that all, but because each company is unique.
Sure.
Something comes up like, what? Something new. But you can synthesize the solution from there, given the knowledge around the aspect of success factor already. And not surprising, the very first chapter is about understanding market needs. It's not even technical. A lot of startups fail when they come up with a product, only to find out that
there's no match.
Yeah. So it's like a solution looking for a problem. Oh, okay, that doesn't work. So those are the big things, and entrepreneurship is always practical, no theories. It's just being practical, and then you act fast. And those are the fundamentals that we teach.
Well, Dado, you've had a lot of experience as a countryman. I very much appreciate sharing that with us. I look forward to the next step in your journey, and stay in with us as the summit goes along and as the journey unfolds. Thank you very much.
I will.
Thank you very much, Dado. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. We just finished an interview with Dado Banatao, our Silicon Valley magnate, most successful Filipino-American tech startup and venture capitalist. To you, Sean and Tony.
Thank you, Tin.
Okay, Tony, as you can see in our inset, that plane, you see the Mexican flag on the tail,